Welcome to Beardy, Bruce Lee said.
You know what that was?
What?
The triads got him.
Do you think so? You really do?
You know those people, they're Sicilian, dog. Listen, you know what? I'm going to kill you and your son.
Really?
And
You really
they
think
did it.
that's what it is? 'Cause I'd heard that that Bruce Lee died from some sort of an allergic reaction to a drug or... Look how ripped Bruce Lee
Brian,
was.
this
You
was
forget.
something that you cannot imagine. This was... Every nerd had a hero. Every
they're
immigrant
warming
had
up.
a hero. See, all four. Forget the Game of Death with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's a horror show. Just watch this one. Look at this. That's what he does. When he meows is when the fight starts. Look at him, dog. He had like 6% body fat at this time. This is where all these movies are stolen from, and they can't even steal them. They don't know why they even did this.
Look at Bruce Lee's getting into his fighting stance.
Look at the cap. Bam, bam, bam.
They're both throwing front leg roundhouse kicks to open up with and front leg side kicks. No one's hit anybody. They're blocking everything. Oh, Chuck Norris scores with a wheel kick to the face and smiles. People really don't appreciate what he did, because what he did was introduce martial arts in an exciting way to the whole world.
Yes.
Everybody was wearing kung fu outfits, martial arts classes.
Yes.
Everybody wanted to be like Bruce Lee. He was the coolest guy that ever existed in movies.
Oh, and everyone thought they were Bruce Lee,
Yeah.
by the way. I remember getting my first pair of nunchucks.
People don't understand. We're a little too young for it, but people don't understand what an impact Bruce Lee had when he was doing the Green Hornet. When people saw him do martial arts moves the way he did on screen, like people wanted to. I mean, you have to think about how many people would watch a TV show back then. Like if you had a TV show, there's only like 3 different things to watch, right? Like if you had a TV show, you had the entire country watching one of 3 things. And if you had a big show like the Green Hornet was.
The Green Hornet aired on Sunday nights. So it was like...
Hey everybody, it's Birdie here. What's going on, guys? Okay, so a few years ago, I made a video about Bruce Lee's cause of death. And the video got tons of views, and I got a lot of love and support from you guys. And so from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for supporting me and for supporting the channel. Now, the most surprising part of me releasing that video was that I got contacted by the medical community. I got contacted by physicians, a biologist, and a professor of neurology. Now, they listened to the video and they saw the same symptoms that I was talking about in my video in their patients. Now, they all agreed with me that the most probable cause of Bruce Lee's death was the one that I talked about in my video. But in 50 years, a lot of progress has been made in biology, in neurology, and now we know a lot more about the brain in general. So me and the professor, we emailed back and forth for a long time, talking about Bruce Lee, talking about his symptoms, and it turns out that this neurologist had seen a lot of the same symptoms in his patients, and especially in his patients that were bodybuilders, extreme athletes, or strongmen. He saw them get headaches and fainting and having bleedings, brain edemas, etc., etc. So it sounds like exactly what happened to Bruce Lee. And so that's why he decided to contact me, because he saw the same things happen to his patients that were extreme athletes. Now, he sent me some research paper that's recently been done on the brain and on brain edemas. And this is the conclusion. Brain edema formation after intracerebral hemorrhage, ICH, causes herniation-related death and severe neurological deficits. So there you go, guys. That is the most recent and updated diagnosis for Bruce Lee's cause of death. this is the conclusion that we came to together, me and the professor, and this is the most probable cause of Bruce Lee's death. I now feel 100% confident that this is Bruce Lee's cause of death. And I really want to thank all of the people from the medical community that contacted me. It's been overwhelming, and I feel really, really, really blessed and lucky that you guys have contacted me and helped me come to this conclusion. I feel like now we can finally put this whole thing to rest. And yeah, guys, there you go. This is Bruce Lee's cause of death. ICH, that caused a brain edema, a swelling and a bleeding, a combination of a swelling and a bleeding that caused a neurological deficit. And the neurological deficit part is where Bruce Lee started fainting and he started having headaches, and this eventually caused him to pass away.
And that's when Bruce was doing the Green Hornet series, and he came back there as a celebrity guest. And after I won the title, the promoter introduced me to Bruce. And so we started talking about our philosophies and the martial arts and so forth. And anyway, we were both staying at the same hotel, the Americana in New York, and we started walking over to the hotel. As we got going up the elevator, I remember Bruce was staying on the 7th floor and I was on the 9th. As we got to his floor, we were really getting pretty involved into our conversation. So instead of me going up, I stepped out in the hallway with him. And this like 11:30 at night, and we started working out in the hallway. And next time I looked at my watch, it was 7 o'clock the next morning. And it was amazing because the guy he had so much knowledge and, as you know on the screen, ability, that it seemed like an hour had gone by as far as us working out and exchanging ideas. So he said, well, when we get back to Los Angeles, why don't we start working out together, which we did. When I got back, we started training together, and then the series was canceled, and he went to Hong Kong to pursue a movie career. When he went to Hong Kong, his first movie, the biggest grossing movie in Asia, before Bruce went over there, was The Sound of Music. It had grossed $2.4 million, which again was the biggest movie ever grossed in the Orient. Bruce did the first movie called The Big Boss, which over here was The Fist of Fury, and that one grossed $3.2 million, which is $800,000 more than The Sound of Music. Then he did The Fist of Fury, which over here was called The Chinese Connection, and that one grossed $4.3 million. And then he called me up and he said he'd like to do a movie with a real good fight scene in the movie. I said, well, the only way we can have a fight scene is if I get to hit you once in a while. And he said, well, yeah, naturally, we'd make it a back and forth type fight. So anyway, that fight scene that you saw took us 5 days to do, and in Asia alone, the movie grossed over $11 million. It's the biggest grossing movie in the history of Asia, and they don't think anything will surpass it for a long time. Then Bruce naturally did Enter the Dragon, which was his last movie, and it was probably the biggest grossing movie as far as martial art movies go. But Bruce was 32 years old. Let me explain something about his death too, because there's, I guess, so many rumors that are going about how he passed away and so forth, about touch of death and drugs and so forth. And so I'd like to clarify that before we go on with the demonstration. Is Bruce in 1968? Well, he's pretty heavy in the weightlifting, as you could tell. He was very well built, and he was lifting weights one night with Kareem Jabbar, who was a student of his when he was in Los Angeles, playing at UCLA. And he tried to lift too heavy weights, and he ruptured the disc in his back, and he was laid up in the hospital for 3 weeks. In fact, the doctor said that they didn't know if he'd be able to walk again or not. But of course, with a person like Bruce, who's got the drive and determination to achieve anything in life, he was up in about a month, and within 3 months, he was as strong as he ever was. But he had constant back pains from that day on, and he was having to take medication to keep the muscles in the back loose and relaxed. So what happened is that when he was in Hong Kong preparing for his next movie, he was working with a girl named Betty, and who was going to co-star with him, and he got a severe headache. So Betty gave him some antibiotics for the headache, and with the medication he had taken for his back and the medication he had taken for his headache, they reacted to each other and made his brain swell up, and it created an aneurysm or ruptured blood cells in his brain, and that's actually what happened. So if anyone asks you what happened, that you can tell them the true story.